Welcome to another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I'm your host, Dr. Roddy Raban, and what a show we have for you. That's right, I am honored to have a friend, a dear friend, Roselyn Sanchez. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, a true famous person on the show.
Oh, God.
So why this show is going to be great is we're going to do two things that I think you're going to find super, super interesting. One, we're actually going to talk about her own journey. And then two, we're going to talk about something that I always find so fascinating, so interesting, is we all from the outside wonder what it's like to be within the world of Hollywood, the good, the bad, the ugly. And now we're going to get a firsthand encounter and discussion from Roselyn about her perspective, being 50, being Latina, and being an actress. So you're going to want to listen in because it's going to be a super, super excellent show. Roselyn.
Yay.
Bienvenido.
Gracias. Bienvenida.
Oh, lo siento. Vamos a hacer esto en español y vamos a mirar qué piensan la gente que no entiende ni un palabra en español. No, we'll do the Spanish version another time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're so grateful to have you. And it's been such a wonderful journey getting to know you. You know, I think everybody has all these... People think they know people. People think they know me. People think they know you. People think they know anyone who they see or wonder. And it turns out that the overwhelming majority of times, what you think isn't necessarily very accurate. And often you're so pleasantly surprised, and you have been super awesome and lovely and wonderful. So let's talk about specifically, how long has it been since you had your surgery? How long has it been?
January 30th.
January.
And it's June, 20-something?
So about 6 months.
Yeah, more
right.
or less than that.
So, and we did a breast reduction, right?
Very tiny. No, it was more of a lift.
Correct. And that's excellent because we're going to talk about that because I think when you first came, and this is such an important part.
Yep.
There's a lot of misunderstandings about what it does and who does what. But I remember having met you a few times, meaning you had come for a bunch of consults, which is super customary. Everyone thinks you just decide like, oh, I want to have a procedure, and then you just show up the next. That's not how this works. You contemplate, you think about it, you say, and so for you, because you were blessed with fuller breasts and you're a very flaca, very thin and very elegant and also very athletic woman, you had found that your breasts were starting to become like...
They were falling.
They were falling. How many kids have you had?
I have 2 kids.
2 kids. Did you breastfeed?
Both. 5 months the first, 3 months the second.
Correct. And you are now 49?
I'm 50.
50.
My first baby, I was 38. The second one, 44.
Got it. And so everybody, even actresses, even actors, even everybody's body changes the same.
Yeah.
We're all the same. Some people are lucky, they're genetically blessed, but no one is going to be able to get away without the changes that occur. So a woman who's 50, who's had 2 children, who's breastfed 2 children, will naturally, lose volume in most instances, sometimes gain, and almost always will have some dependency or sag of their breasts, which then creates issues of wardrobe and back aches and exercise and things. So let's start with what was bothering you. So here you are, everyone looks at you and says, oh my God, she looks spectacular. And you're thinking to yourself, fuck, I don't like this, I gotta fix this.
I don't feel like that.
Right.
I know.
So what was it that was bothering you?
It was just that they fell. And it's interesting that you said that I was blessed because I had a full breast.
Right.
But my whole life, I was a 34A my whole life. I was kind of very super tiny and flat. Then I had Sabella, my first one, and I went to a C.
Right.
And then, or like a B plus or something. And they were so pretty. I'm going, okay, I can work with this. And for whatever reason, my breast, all my friends that were moms said after breastfeeding, they went down.
Correct.
They looked like raisins. And I'm going, that's interesting because mine grew while I was pregnant. I had my baby, I breastfed, and they never came down. They're actually bigger. I went, okay, no problem. Then I have Dylan at 44. They grew even more. Never went down. And I kept seeing like, oh my God, my breast keeps growing even though I'm the same weight. I'm back to my pre-pregnancy weight.
Right.
So I was very confused and I was not used to it. And I grew up dancing ballet. I was a ballerina my whole life. So I want to be flat.
Right.
So I was like, I don't understand what's happening with the body. I don't want the tetas. I don't like it. But anyways, and then my mom, funny enough, had 4 kids, was flat. And my mom was very flat at 98 pounds when she got married. And my mom had a reduction after having all the children.
Interesting, yeah.
But I don't have my mom's body type at all. So I never thought in a million years that might happen to me. Then after Dylan, I was like, I wonder if I'm going to be like my mom. And then you explained to me, funny enough, that I like 15% of women.
Yeah, I was going to say this is an arbitrary number, about 20% of women, instead of experiencing what 80% experiences, like I started out I had my first child, they shrunk. I had my second child, they shrunk. I had 20% of patients, 20, they find their breasts get bigger. Yeah.
And listen, my husband loved it. I was like, you know what? It doesn't look bad, but I was not used to it. And then, of course, they're bigger.
Sure.
But they're falling.
Of course.
Not horrific.
No.
But it's interesting because I'll never, ever forget. I did a TV show in my first time acting in Spanish, and I'd go to Colombia to do a TV show. And Sabella was 3.5 months. I was in the middle of breastfeeding. And we'd do an episode that it was like there was like a comedy, like a big comedy. The challenge of the pencil, meaning that if you can put a pencil under your breast,
which we talk about all the time. The pencil test.
If it falls, right, then it's time for you to fix your breast. And
if it doesn't fall.
Correct.
Right. If it falls, you're good to go.
Yes.
Right.
And I was like, at that moment, because it was just Sabella, right? And I was still breastfeeding, I was like, this is too funny. That's not going to happen to me. And then after Dylan, I'll never forget, I'm home and I see my left breast and I was like, let me see what for sure it's going to stay. And I grabbed this eyeliner and that shit stays. And I was like, oh no,
you're like,
it's me.
Google. What the?
And I go back to my days in Colombia laughing about it too. I don't know if I want to be like this. And listen, they were not bad. Like if you ask my husband, he was like, you're crazy. But I was like, they can be a little better.
Right.
They can be a little better. And I think it's going to make me happier. Nobody sees it. You know what I mean? But it's just, it was an issue with me, myself, and I.
100%. And that's what we talk about on a regular basis. Actually, on a couple shows past, we had a kind of a individual who is sort of, she hates the term, but it's a life coach type person. And she was trying to address the fact that people want to feel good and confidence through getting things done. I was trying to tell her, but there is a component of confidence that comes from the way you see yourself.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if your husband or your boyfriend or your wife or your parents tell you you're perfect, because it's the way we perceive ourselves. And so, so that happened, which, by the way, for everyone is normal. I had a bunch of kids. My breasts either got bigger or smaller, but they almost sagged. And then you and I met and we started chatting about it. And I remember having this conversation with you. And why I want to highlight this is I think this is really important for people to understand, because you had a very specific goal. And I remember you're like, I want them lifted because they're kind of heavy and they sag, and I want them smaller. And I said to you, and I remember that because you're flaca, you're nice and thin, you're athletic, and you're used to smaller breasts.
Correct.
And you felt I would feel better on my body. And I said, I have no problem with that. I don't care. I'm not I didn't get a phone call from Eric. But I think if you reduce your breasts too much, while they may feel great, they may not look great.
Okay.
And people are like, what does that mean? There's a frame, and geometrically, in order to create a pretty breast, you need some projection. And depending on the frame, after a certain point of removing tissue, you get kind of flatter. Mm-hmm. And I said, I think you should lift and remove a little tissue.
And I said, no, remove.
And you're like, I'd like to remove more tissue. Yeah. And we kind of did this dance a few times. Mm-hmm. And then I won.
No, then I went on anesthesia and he did whatever he wanted.
Needless to say, we did a lift, absolutely. Yeah. And in that process, removed some breast tissue. But I think when you had said afterwards, like, wow, they seem smaller, or they look a little bit smaller, even though we didn't remove that much tissue.
They were like right after the reveal, right? The reveal, they were big.
Of course, they were
and
swollen.
I was like, oh my God, I look like I have implants, right?
Sure.
My husband is like, you look like you have implants. And I'm going, wow, okay. And then now they settled and they look small. I love it. He says, they're smaller. I'm going, yeah, that's what I wanted. You know, I'm happy. I would have done even less, to be honest.
I know, but that's where I wanted to talk about is there is what you want, which obviously is a huge part of what we do this. And then there is what's geometrically or physically capable.
Which you explained to
me.
And
that's
I had no
why
idea.
your surgeon is important in this.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting part, because this is going to be a huge leap now. But if you look at Michael Jackson, he was a celebrity. Uh-huh. He went to surgeons. And I believe they did for him what he asked.
Okay.
Whereas our job as physicians is, irrespective if you're who you are, is to give you the guidance that is ideal for you, even if it's not what you want to hear or what it is that you want.
Yeah.
So why I say that is you came to me and you said, listen, I'd like to be smaller, all very good reasons. And I said to you that I think from an aesthetic standpoint, not from a lifestyle standpoint, too much smaller would then lead to a breast that wouldn't be pretty. And we should come up with a compromise. And I think that I'm happy that that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah.
Because yes, smaller would have been fine, but they wouldn't look pretty. I assure you of that geometrically.
Okay.
So I'm really, really glad that it ended up doing what you wanted it to do, which is I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel better in my clothes. I feel lighter. I can wear what I need to wear on set, etc.
The shape is beautiful. It's funny because before I came, I'm getting ready. And I'm using this little tank top from this store in Puerto Rico where I come from, Playero. And it's like a little like a little tank top, right? And I'm doing my makeup, but I don't have a bra. And I'm walking, and I swear to you, it was the first time that it happens since the surgery. And I've been very happy since the beginning because they're beautiful. But I'm walking around, and I walk by this long mirror, and I swear to you, listen, I don't want to be conceited, but I'm walking by, and I'm like,
Shit, that looked good.
I'm like 21 years old.
Yeah.
Because they look like perfect. And I mean, they were under the little thing, right? But just perky. And I was like, oh my God, thank you, Lord. It's very beautiful. It was nice.
Yeah, and it's a great, and that's what this is about. This is about a person in the intimacy of their own moment, not when their life partner tells them, but in their own moment to sit there, look at themselves, their nose, their breast, their belly, their hair, their lipstick, their eyeliner, their dress, and go, wow, I feel good.
Yeah.
I look fucking great. And then it resonates your interactions with your husband, your kids, or when you're on stage, So that is the epicenter of what we tried to do, is generate self-confidence from looking at yourself like, I look good. So what I really like is that, you know, people talk about things when they're celebrities here and there, and they tend to be very hush-hush about it, which less so now than before, but still so. It's really this weird juxtaposition. I give you mad props. You're like, I did this is what I did, this is how it is. You talk about it, you've been on your show, Eric got a little flack for just saying something silly. And what I love about it is the freedom in which you discuss it de-escalates it and makes it super normal, because you are, just like everybody else, just another woman out there who's living their life. And I always have wondered if I were a celebrity, just by my nature, I would be the most transparent. That's how I am. Why would I lie about it? I look amazing. My breast sagged. I had a couple of kids. I fixed it. I look great. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.
Exactly.
It's like, move on. And there's no controversy there. But I think you did a great thing for other people in terms of having the discussion, because the more people that are of influence speak the truth, the more normal other people will feel about it. So that's awesome. There was a little funny moment there, because what a lot of people, there are two things that people are afraid of when it comes to breast, not two, let's say a handful. Number one concern is that they're going to have horrific scars, right?
Yeah.
So that was right up on your high if you're list. It was like,
that's why it took me so long.
Right, because it wasn't that bad. You have breasts down here, you're like, it's an easy trade.
Yeah.
Like, even the scars look horrible, that's way better than that. But when your breast, nose, belly, whatever, is borderline, if you will, then sometimes you get stuck. You get stuck behind not bad enough. And interestingly enough, you live a shittier life, meaning you don't like your belly as much, or your eyes, or because it's not bad enough to justify it. And you're like almost envious of your friends whose situation is worse because it triggered the ability to do it. But that's not true plastic surgery. Great plastic surgery is the ability to do it mild, moderate, or severe. In other words, your case was milder, and we did what was necessary. And your concern was, what if I have horrific scars? What if I did this and now I have these Frankenstein scars?
It's a struggle. It was a struggle. And listen, I love my breast, and you did an incredible job with my incisions, right? With my scars. But I cannot wait, and I'm just being fully transparent.
Of course.
I cannot wait until I look and they're barely there.
100%.
That part is crazy.
And when is that going to happen? That's going to happen at 18 months, 24 months, etc. It takes time. Now, not everyone's fades. And those individuals whose breasts are done poorly or have bad outcomes, or, and I'm just making it up, go to Miami to a strip mall, and then they are left with ugly outcomes, then they have to live with it forever. If it's done correctly, the scars will be thin and flat and lightish, and continuously the knob will continue to lighten. And they get darker, right around 6 months, they start to lighten. So
they're gonna get darker then.
No, now you're at your peakish, whatever color it is. Not dark, awesome, or dark, whatever they are.
Okay.
But my point being is that all people heal like this. And what'll happen with you is we'll see each other at 18 months or 2 years, and you'll be like, it got there. And it will be light and fade. And there will be a moment, I think, in particular with you that it'll be hardly even perceptible.
You know what's interesting? I go to Natalie, this girl that does my facials, and another lady, Irene, that I love, that does a lot of like face treatments, like radio frequency, you know, like this, like whatever. And they see everything. You know, they see all kinds of bodies.
They're the hairdresser and the bartender of the world.
You know, and they've seen like every celebrities and non-celebrities, like they've seen every breast, every tummy tuck, every face, everything, right? They're both, a lot of people go to them. And both of them, which I was like, oh my God, thank you, Roddy. They know that I did this procedure, right? And I think last week I went to one, and like a month ago I went to the other one and said, I want to see. I'm going, yeah, listen, I see, you're going to see scars, but it's okay. And both of them, and it's interesting because they always tell me, we always brace ourselves to like, what do we say, you know? And because the majority of the time, it's awful, you know? And I show them, and they were like, oh my God, girl, that's beautiful. You're going to be fine. So you think the scar's going to, and they're like, oh my God, both of them that I know very well, that would have said to me,
we'll tell you the truth,
Rose, you might need some laser, you might need, you know what I mean? They were both like, oh, you're going to be unbelievable.
And what's interesting is point of perspective. You have point of perspective of just you, me or them or people who've seen lots of these.
Because I've seen a lot of it. I have no idea.
You are.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you asked me, and I remember you were like, and I said, or better yet, I told you, I said, please, I beg you, don't do anything to anything until it's healed. Are you sure I shouldn't do laser?
Hard.
Oh, should I go do this cream? Should I do this? Don't effing touch them. You will ruin them. Because
everybody else
it's nonsense.
Does a lot of stuff.
Because what happens is they are trying to make up for shitty scars by doing this laser and that cream and this lotion and that. And first of all, it doesn't work. Because if it did, we'd have it. Like we would not use it. Like if it made things better, I'd have 7 of those devices. Why not? Secondly, they're trying to fill up the space of the unhappy patient. So they're going to do all these creams and lotions and potions, at which time they're going to like, well, Roz, you don't feel so well.
Okay.
How about you close like shit? How about that half of it? Oh, you know, you're Latina. You make dark scars.
Because you're olive skin, yeah.
Because you're olive. What? There's a million reasons I can blame you.
Okay.
But how about you just did a shitty job, bro? You just didn't close layer by layer, time by time, and execute the results that necessary. So I'm very happy that you listened to me and you have historically just said, all right. Because when you have access to, that's the biggest problem I have now, is when you have access to all of this, it's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, and we're going to talk about that in a second, what to do, what not to do, when to do it. You know, for some people, it's like getting access. For someone like you, it's knowing what I should do, what I shouldn't do, when to do it. Does that work? Does that not work? Because you look at it, you're like, wow, Jane Fonda looks amazing. Cher looks amazing. And then you look at someone and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Shit. And they all had access. All these people have access. It's not something that only she has and you don't.
Yeah.
Everything's available to everyone nowadays. There are no more secrets.
Yeah.
And so you did the right thing, which is you're just holding steady. I promise you, even though everything looks amazing, whatever the last component, which is natural because it's only been 6 months, will fall into place over the end of 12 to 18 months. I give you certainty. And what's great is that you got external confirmation from that person and that person who know this process. And then how does that impacted your sense of self? Like, so here you are, everyone would argue, can't get any more confidence in Roselyn. I mean, sit up there, hi, how's it going? Do you think that has it changed your way of being in terms of how you're intimate or how you feel, or how has it impacted your life?
I love it. And I'm less it's funny because people will never think that I can get insecure. And even though my breasts, they were not bad, I will wear clothes, and unless I'm taping like crazy.
Right.
If I'm wearing a bra that I cannot, if I'm wearing a dress that I cannot have a bra, I'm self-conscious about them looking like that. So I need to tape like crazy. You know, like all these insecurities that people have no idea that I was going through, right? Only my stylist, because she's the one taping it, and all the makeup artist. I don't have to go through that anymore. It feels amazing. I love it. I love it.
And that's why I appreciate you, is because that's the dialogue that I wish they'll remain nameless, of individuals who are, listen, when you are in the public eye, comes with incredible advantages. Well, it's not me. And then it comes with a lot of burdens.
Yeah.
And they just come hand in hand. And the burdens are that I have to kind of speak the truth because I'm taking advantage of sort of a certain, and I don't have as much, say, privacy. I've always felt this way about, you can't be a celebrity, reap all the rewards, and then just when it comes to other things, just be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So what's great is like you want to have another young woman who is just a regular person looking safe. Roselyn Sanchez, who is stunning and beautiful and successful and blah, 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 is sitting there before an event and going, fuck, I don't know what, make sure that doesn't shoot this way. And she is conscious of something on herself, albeit as minor as it was, that I'm okay to also be a little self-conscious.
Yeah.
Because that's normal. That's just like how human beings, I'm starting to develop like a hollow under my eyes. What are you talking about? You're a guy, you look great. That's not the point.
Exactly.
The point is it bothers me.
Exactly, yeah.
And so I think that's fantastic and that's awesome that you have participated in that because I give you a lot of kudos. We'll take a little break and then I want to come back and I want to talk about the part that always fascinated me, which is I get up, I go to get coffee, then I come to work and no one's taking a photo of me. I don't have to step out of this door and all of a sudden be like, oh, fuck, no one gives a shit. I'm not that important. No one's taking photos of me. But if I had to, then I would constantly have to worry about every moment of every shot, everything, because that's just a reality. And, someone can take a photo of you and then make this and that in a billboard and all of a sudden you have to do damage. So I'm curious to know how you have navigated, you're 50, you look fantastic, you look normal, you look natural, you look relatable, and how one navigates being 50, because things starting to happen now, you're like, fuck. You're an actress, so there's a high demand in their photos being taken of you. And then, oh yeah, that's right, I'm Latina. And there's a super demand within that culture, more so than if you were, as I mentioned to you, an Irish person. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with the rest of Plastic Surgery Uncensored in just a minute. All right, welcome to the second half of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I am having a truly fascinating and very enjoyable conversation with Roselyn. So I think I'm going to ask what most people are wondering, because the world is so it's almost an infatuation. It's such a fascinating concept to me. People aren't infatuated with scientists. No one gives a shit who came up with a cure for blah. There's something about humanity that is so interested, so fascinated into entertainers and celebrityism. And it's interesting because that dovetails very nicely into plastic surgery because people are so fascinated with that.
Yeah.
And so with that fascination comes a lot of pressure if you're in that space. Again, benefits and pressure.
Yeah.
So, when you're 30, you're kind of bulletproof. You're young, you're pretty, you got it all. And then, a celebrity's career spans often 80 years. And there's the middle part.
Yeah.
The transition from the 30-year-old you to the 70-year-old you where you're just like, you're Meryl Streep and no one gives a shit and you were left alone.
There was point that the 0.001%.
But the middle part, that transition from 30 to 40 to 50 to 60, that gap, there's a tremendous amount of internal pressure and dialogue from the outside, from your friends, whatever. So give me a little bit of insight as to what it's like for you and the pressures you do or don't feel and from what direction it comes and how you manage it. It's a big, big concept, but I want to just talk about it.
I feel it from every single day, every single corner, every single conversation. Granted, I've been pretty bulletproof my whole life, in terms of like I've had incredible, a beautiful, constant career with longevity. And I have the ability to just go, I don't care, and I just move forward. And I don't care about the elements. I'm just going to move forward. And I've been pretty lucky and pretty blessed. Now, I'm not going to lie. If I tell you that now, I don't know if it is because this business is changing. Even though people believe, there's so much content, there's so much streaming, like there's a lot of opportunities. Not really. There is, but there isn't. And especially now with all the strikes and everything that is happening, things are slowing down a bit. When networks were picking up whatever 20-something projects. Now they only green like 3.
Right.
So it's very competitive. It's very difficult, and the equation that the fact that I've been doing it for so long, there's always this thing about, I wonder if they feel like like it's a fresh idea to have me.
Right.
You know, because I always saw myself as I am. It doesn't matter my age. I'm bulletproof.
Right.
I'm always going to be fresh. You know. Now it's like, oh, they know my age. They know that I've been doing it for so long. Maybe I'm not fresh anymore. So I have this pressure to look fresh, to look younger, to stay current.
Do you think that, and that's beautifully said, because people don't understand that from that window. Do you think that's the way the rest of your friends and colleagues in celebrityism feel? The idea to stay fresh and relevant?
100%.
For sure, right? Because that's exactly how I think it is.
100%.
Okay, so then now, tell me how you manage it.
Like I said, I just have to keep moving. I don't have any other way to manage it, because if I get too much in my head about it, then that's when insecurities. And actors by nature, we're very insecure.
For sure.
We might act like we're not, and the perception of people is that we own the world and we are untouchable. We are incredibly insecure.
It absolutely makes total sense.
And it doesn't matter who tells you, I'm fine, it doesn't affect me. It's a lie. That's why you see that 95% of them, the ones that are my age and in their 40s and older, they're starting to look very different.
For sure. And this is exactly
and
what
it's all pressure.
That's this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the thing that you're like, oh my God, did you see what so-and-so did to her face? Oh my God, did you see so-and-so's eyelids? Did you see so... we can bring up Madonna or whoever. Yeah. Everyone is trying to stay relevant.
We're trying to
even though their talent hasn't changed. Her singing hasn't changed. Your acting hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's the idea that my shell is changing. Some of that is the fact that you're just aging.
Yeah.
But a lot of it has to do with the outside pressure. So
look at social media. We're bombarded constantly with aesthetics and the definition of what is beautiful, right? And everything is ever changing, like the full body became a thing. Now back to skinny is a thing, and the craze with Ozempic, and everybody wants to look a specific way, and that's going to go away within a couple of years.
For sure.
And the booty's going to come back. But it's just trying to catch up. I mean, okay, I'm not that, but if I manipulate myself this way, maybe I can be like, it is a constant game, and if you're not very strong, it can destroy you, to be honest with you.
100%, and that's exactly why this is so relevant, because you're not, oh, but she's pretty. No, that's not what this has anything. It has zero to do.
No,
it has to do with the mental fortitude. It's not as if, okay, so let's back up here. So you had mentioned to me that you feel, you're not feeling pressure from your agent, you're feeling pressure from your friends. Right? It's like
From
your age.
colleagues,
It's not like your agent's like, hey,
never.
Roz, you're looking a little small.
Never.
No.
And I don't know if those agents exist, but I've been doing this for 30 years. I've never gotten a phone call from a manager, a lawyer, an agent, or a publicist saying, Roz, I think you need to do this. When it comes to aesthetics, never.
It's your friend. It's your call. It's other. So tell me what you hear. So tell me what are the conversation, inner dialogue. You don't need to name anybody, but give me some.
I just did it myself. It's funny because, and I swear to you, I've never been, when it comes to my face, I've never had an issue with anything. And people have said to me, you have a nose job. I've never touched my nose. If I had, it was the worst nose job in the history of my life. You know what I mean?
They always say to me, I have patients who come in because I do a lot of noses. They're like, did you get a nose job? I'm like, A, I'd ask for my money back. Two, I'd sue.
That's basically my nose.
This cannot be the outcome that I asked for.
I was like, no, guys, it looks like a nose job. I'm aware of that because it has all these different angles, but no, it's not. And if I did, I'm the first one to say, I fixed my nose.
Right.
And I freaking love it, but that's not the case. But when it comes to my face, I have never had an issue. I won a pageant in Puerto Rico when I was 21 years old. And the next day, the first thing, I think I'm the only beauty queen in the island that has not touched anything about her, right? No implants, no surgeries. I won the thing. They said to me, I was 21 years old. They said to me, 21. They said, we want to fix your nose and do, because I was flat.
Right.
Put breasts. And I said,
as a winner, like that's your prize.
That's your prize, of course. And listen, and the beauty pageant world, it's part of the glam.
Of course.
It's part of the allure and the fantasy of it all. These girls are produced to look unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole different animal of itself because your talent is your beauty.
Of course. But I won, and I was like, I know nobody's touching my face. I'm not doing anything. Now fast forward, I'm 50, right? It's funny. So I've never had a problem with my face at all. And then I see a good friend of mine, she's an actress, beautiful, and she's looking unbelievable. But I cannot really figure out what is happening, but it's so well done, right? Then I keep looking at her, we're like sisters. And then finally, I just say, I think it's this, the lips. And I call and I said, listen, you can tell me to F off, but who did your mouth? Because it's just perfection. I wasn't sure, right? And she's like, oh my God, that's so funny. I just did it. And we had a whole conversation about it. Never in a million years I've had a problem with my mouth or my lips. Never. I've always known that my upper lip, it's a little like, it doesn't go like this, right? But never, Raddy, never. And I am now at 50 years old thinking, I wonder if I just do it here. But then I just go, Ross, don't start, please.
So interesting. Well, I want to have this conversation because this is almost an experiment, like a petri dish. We don't get access to this often, right? Because you never get to talk to the person before they did anything or as they're about to do something. Yeah. So you're like right at the train station. So this is a great conversation because you're going to have the evil devil and you're going to have the, why not, Roz? You're changing. You're in the industry. Stay relevant. Yeah. You can do it. It can look natural, right? You have that. And at the same time, that's the guy going, go for it. And then you have you haven't needed it. There's nothing wrong with you. Had you not seen it, everyone thinks you look amazing. Yeah. So that duality exists in everyone. What I would tell you as your friend and expert is that, and I had a friend of mine who asked me this, the time to do something is the time in which you personally feel that the item that you're concerned about bothers you so much that it consumes your thoughts at all time when you're present in that moment. So give you an example. Your breast, when you were intimate, when you were wearing your clothes, when you were on stage, was becoming a problem. And it was something that was bothering you. The same thought process you had, because you have an actual internal, you didn't just, I don't like my breast, surgery next week. You let it simmer and simmer and cook and simmer and simmer, and it bothered me 10%. This year it bothers me 27%. This year it's bothering me 38%. And there might be a point in which internally it bothers you enough. The key, and this is the thing, that you have to be very careful that external photos, friends, don't push that, accelerate that quickly. Because with your breast, you didn't have any external pressure. It wasn't like you looked at Susie's breast, you're like, holy shit, her breast looks better than mine. I need mine done. Yeah. This lip thing was because you're like, wow, that looks good.
Yeah, but it's problematic to think that because I don't need it at all. And I know that. My soul knows that, right? I've been for 50 years like this. Everybody thinks I'm very pretty. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need it. But it's the constant in my face of all these images of all these girls, older and younger and my age, doing it. Some look fantastic, some don't. But it is so it's in my face. And I think that's why young girls don't have the maturity to be like,
100%.
I don't need it. And they jump.
No question that they don't. What happens is you have an internal sense of self. I am good. And so when the wind blows, you kind of just sway, but you don't move. When you're 20, you're 19, you're 21, and you haven't done shit. You have no confidence per se. And you see these images and whatever. There's no way. You're just a twig. You're getting blown away. You don't stand a chance. And so everyone is doing it. Now, do you think that you feel yet a more additional sense of pressure because you're Latina? Do you think that Latina component, because, and I'll tell you why, like a third of my practice is Latinos, right? I mean, fluent in Spanish, I've been to a million, like I'm very entrenched in the Latino community. And there is, similar to the African-American community in their own right, but Latinos, because they're en fuego, they have this culture, it's really a lot of I don't want to say pressure per se, because it's a beautiful thing too. I've had like 65-year-old woman come in and be like, I want to do my breast because for my husband, not in a bad way, everyone don't freak out, but in a good way. Like I want to stay relevant. We want to feel sexy, but it adds extra pressure. And
As a
you're
Latina?
and you're very much immersed in the Latina community a lot of your career. Do you feel that that's a little extra chili pepper on top of it?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't know if every Latina is going to appreciate the comment, that I'm affirming that 100% being Latina, Puerto Rican, there's an element of that. I think Latina women, we love to compete with each other, It's not so much about me, it's about this female against female type of component that I have one over you. I look better than you. I'm not saying it in a negative way.
No, it's
because I'm a girl's girl and I love my Latinas or my good friends. It's funny, like I do a thing in my house and everybody goes, all your friends are so beautiful. I'm not insecure. I don't have a problem. Like all the people that are like, let me just be the queen. I love beautiful women. I love beautiful men. So it's like I love aesthetics. But I think as a Latina, yeah, it's ingrained.
Right.
We like to look good. It's part of our sexuality, sensuality. It's like we're taught like that. That's why you go to Colombia. It's like, it's funny. I went to Colombia to do this thing that I told you, right?
Yeah.
When they did the pencil test, whatever thing. And I remember that I said, I want to go to a mall, but I don't want to go to the fancy mall. I just want to see culture. I just want to go to a normal mall.
right.
Right? Just to a mall. And I'm there and I'm walking. Granted, I just had a baby, I'm breastfeeding. I feel like the freaking Hompa Lumpa of Colombia. But I'm walking and every single woman, even the ugly ones, were beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going, is this normal that even the unattractive one is prettier than me? I was like, oh my God, what is happening in this country? And it's a lot in Venezuela. It's a lot of pressure. I'm going to give you an example. My mom is the most humble, simple Puerto Rican lady in the world. She's 5'1". She's always been chubby. My mom doesn't care about manicure, pedicures, facials. She doesn't even know what that is. Going to the beauty salon, that vocabulary doesn't exist. I'm just a mom. I'm here for my children.
Right.
And I need to cook for my husband. I was not allowed to be that at my house. Ever. Like, I was not allowed to go to the pharmacy. If I got my period and I need to go buy a freaking tampon, right? And she will see me go out without lipstick.
Without lipstick.
Without lipstick. ¿Dónde tú vas? No, voy a la farmacia un momentito. Put some lipstick on. Mom, I just want to go to the pharmacy. Te ves fatal. Ponte lipstick. My entire life, my mom, it was almost like she was living her life through me. Like, this is not who I was, but this is who I'm fabricating.
Well, but she probably wanted you to meet a beautiful man and live a good life. And the idea, and it's a traditional idea that still exists. My mom did it for my sister and my mom fought tooth and nail. My mom's a beautician, cosmetologist, hairdresser, makeup artist. My mom's 83, still has impeccable.
Yeah.
Sophia Loren, my mom, were like, she wears heels at 83. She won't leave the house to go to the grocery store. Done. My sister could give rat's ass. Sweats, flip-flops, leave me alone, not important to me. Can you imagine the amount of, and my sister was like dating guys. She's like, you look like a corpse. Put on some blush for the love of God. And then it would make my sister pissed. She's like, leave me alone. I don't want to. So I get that idea. And it's natural that you want your daughter to look.
And what's interesting is almost like, and listen, I never found my mom, it will bug me. It's like almost like people say, like, how come you became, like, you always knew you wanted to be a performer? And I say, it was all my mom. My mom is living through me. But she was very blessed because I loved it.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It wasn't
she wouldn't
like
force it on you.
And no, you know what I mean. It was like she was a stage mom, but I can't say, you know what, this is not what I wanted to do. But I felt the pressure. I'm like, I loved it, and how lucky.
Yeah.
But it's now I have a daughter, and not in a million. Listen, and this is when I have to be like, Ross, you have to break cycles, right? And allow her to be who she is. My daughter is just beautiful girl. She's 11 years old, Sabella, and she is a tennis player. She's very athletic.
Sure.
Very sporty. Sports. And she wants to be leggings and a t-shirt and a hat, you know, because she's
By the way, that's the new culture, aloe culture.
The aloe culture.
You could literally go to a black tie event with aloe, you're okay.
Do you know how foreign that is to me?
Oh,
because
of course.
my vision was, I'm going to have a little girl. Number one, she's going to be a ballerina.
Yeah, she's gonna be in a tutu and a ballerina.
Like,
my wife is expecting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
100%. I'm going, my daughter is going to be this perfect little girl, and she's going to be like this girly. That's all I thought it was going to happen, right? Sabella is, I'm going to be exactly who you are not.
Correct.
Is that correct, right?
Right, yeah.
So the more makeup I use, the less she wants. She's like, Sabella, can you put some chapstick? your lips look like they're going to fall over, right? Apart.
Yeah.
No. Sebella, we're going to go to this dinner. It's kind of fancy. And she will come out and I'll be like, are you joking?
She's got her Air
Are you
Jordans on.
Correct. Jordans.
Yeah, Jordans.
And I am going to go crazy. And now I'm starting to understand, you know what, Ross? She is who she is. You know? It doesn't mean anything. It's not who want her to be.
Yeah, she's going to live the best version of her life, and you support her and guide her through it.
But my mom would have never allowed that.
That's a different culture. You know, the truth of the matter, listen, my wife was a tomboy. She did jujitsu. Her mom wanted her to do ballet.
Yeah.
She did, she ran track and field, and her mom wanted her to do piano. My wife ended up being a model. She's 5'11". She eventually, on her own, boomeranged back and decided she wanted to be girly and whatnot.
Okay.
But she lived that period of her time on her own terms, and she'll find her way. But the one thing that's unique about Latino community, and I'll mention this to you because that's why I'm saying, you cannot turn on the TV, a telenovela, a game show, and everyone isn't super hot. They haven't caught up to American standards of in America, it's inclusiveness. So you're going to have every shape, color, size, it doesn't matter if we have to represent. So every color rainbow is going to be there. Latinos are like, the hell with that.
But it's beautiful.
She's hot. That weather woman is smoking. He is handsome. Everyone is.
All the newscasters, like hard news, and they look like Barbies. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And they're all very smart.
No. And I'm not taking away from their capacity. I'm just saying that what I actually love about the Latino community is that they're still hardwired in that you got to be good. No one's going to give you a pass, but you got to look good. We're not going to put you on stage to you ain't going to be our newscaster. And as you said, look like Oompa Loompa. So I think that, it's really fascinating because, you have all these internal pressures. And then you have this daughter, and you have to balance all these things out in terms of what's right for me, what shouldn't I do? Is it because I want to? Is it because I'm being told?
Yeah.
Am I going to be my mom, or I'm going to let her be? And it's all those dynamics. Yeah. And I do think the fact that you're an actress and that you're Latina, those are dynamics that every woman is going to experience in today. Nobody walks out of the house and doesn't feel the pressure, but it's significant when you have those
I'm going to give you an
elements.
example that this happened. So there's a movie, right, with this guy. He's probably in his mid-50s, He's older than me. Doing really well. And I guess they had a girl that fell through. Like the deal didn't work out. So they were the female lead they were looking for a girl, and they wanted her to be Latina. So my manager knows a producer, and he was like, I'm very excited, Ross. There's this movie, and I pitched you, and they're like all over it. They love the idea. They think it'd be fantastic. They do have another person in mind. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Said another Latina, and he tells me the name. She's super hot at the moment, right? But she's probably late 20s.
That's a big difference.
Okay.
How can you pitch a late 20s to a late 50s the same role?
So I'm like, oh yeah, I know she's just beautiful, and she's actually really good. So I'm not mad at that. I understand why, between this one, and let me go with the younger, the one that is more the it girl at the moment.
Sure. But against a 50-some-odd-year-old co-star?
That was my
thing. I'm going,
this freaking environment, this business, and this way of doing things that has always been like this, because you never see an old man with somebody that is contemporary. Very few of those movies get made. And they're like the old timers. Yeah. But even the Denzels and the De Niros, they all tend to they want to go younger. So this girl, I can be her mom. And it's interesting because if you see me next to her, you will never think I am 20-something years old.
Yeah.
Ever, Ever. But I am. And they know my age. And I've been around longer. So of course I didn't get it, right? Which is okay. Like I said, I'm a fan. She's fantastic. But those are the moments when you go, okay, what do I need to do?
Right. Or you say, fuck. I got to find a different role that works for me. Because I can tell you as an aesthetic surgeon, if you sat here, let's break it. If you sat here and I was looking at you and your brows were sagging, you had a ton of eyelid skin, you're hollow in your mid-face, you had a bunch of jowls, and you had neck bands. I mean, I wouldn't do it on stage. I'd pull you aside like, Ross, it's time. And you could tell me, go fuck yourself. But I tell you it's time because it's time. You don't have to do it, but you have arrived. But you're not there. You don't have saggy brows, a bunch of eyelid skin, hollowness in your midface, and a bunch of neck pads. You will. It'll happen. You're lucky. You have great genetics. You've taken good care of yourself, and you're later in the wave. Then you go, this was just a matter of logistics that didn't work out.
Yeah.
This isn't because you're not comparable in terms of your shell.
Yeah.
There will be a time where you will consider it, and it may be apropos, but now is not the time. And that's the secret sauce, to do it when it makes sense, not because you missed the role.
But I have a question for you, because I keep listening, I keep hearing this, and then correct me if what I'm hearing is correct.
I already know what you're going to ask me. Should I tell you what it is?
What?
That you should do things early before...
That's it. Okay, that's it.
This is that shit. Did you hear that?
Are you a psychic? Let's talk about that.
If I was a psychic, I would not be sitting here. I'd be stealing people's fucking bank account numbers or something. No, because you're going to...
Is that true? That they say, you know what,
no,
Rob, the mini, what is it, the mini facelift?
Mini face.
It's just over here, and you have to do it now. Don't do it in the 60s, do it in the 50s.
So let me explain something to you. I just did a post on this on our Instagram. So
Okay.
what we're talking about is being lost in translation. There's a difference between doing things early as they occur, meaning they're there, they're just not bad off, and then doing things before they occur.
Okay.
So listen very carefully so you understand. The message is being jumbled up, which is historically, and let's use faces for an example. It can be anything. It can be anything. But let's take faces because it's a great example. In the historic ethos, you did your facelift in your 60s.
Or later.
60s and 70s or whatever, okay? Things have changed, and now we're doing facelifts in mid to late 40s and 50s, okay? So let's just say that your face has aged. Listen. Let's say you've aged, and your face amount of the way it's changed is an 8. It looks as an 8. 10 being your great-grandmother, 1 being your daughter, okay? So 10 horrible, sag everything, 1 your daughter. So we used to wait till your face is around an 8. Everything we talk about was just really bad, like it was really bad. And what we're saying now, and remember, there's a lot of marketing behind this because it's better for us surgeons, is rather than doing it when it's 8, how about doing it when it's 5 or 4?
Okay.
Right? What patients are interpreting that is, let me do it when it's a 2. A 2 means it hasn't even happened yet. And so what you do is when you are different than Jane, your friends are all different. That 45-year-old needs it. This 50-year-old doesn't need it.
Okay.
What it is when your neck bands start to occur, they're starting, your jowling is starting, and your marionette is starting, and you're starting to hollow, which is if your daughter's a 1, your great-grandmother's a 10, you went from a 2 to a 3, and now it's 4, 5. And you're like, oh, shit. That is the discussion of whether or not you should do it at a 4, 5, or you should do it at traditional 8. The answer to that is, who are you? Are you the person that fills your tank of gas when it's like halfway full because it's a good, like a good gas station, you don't know when the next one is? Or are you that person's like, fuck it, I'm just going to drive until I don't even need gas for a while?
Yeah.
That's personality.
Okay.
But what you never want to do is get so forced into it that you're doing it at a 2-3. And you're just, that's what you're feeling. And so definitely there is this notion that you should, and from an actress standpoint, the sooner you do it, the less dramatic it is. Meaning one day you are an 8, you show up back on camera the next time and you're a 5 or a 4. Whoa, what happened to so-and-so? And so as an actress, you feel that pressure more to kind of do it as it's occurring. I'm starting to have eyelid excess skin. Fuck it, let me just take a little of the skin out. My brows are starting to settle, let me lift it. So you're right in that is, but I think it's being way over-expressed.
You know what scares me sometimes? I don't know if every actress or every woman that has a daughter or has daughters, right? Think about this. Especially a daughter like mine that is so, she's 11, but with the mind of a 30-something. They're so mature nowadays, you know, when they pay attention, they see everything. They're smarter than us. And it's so important to me that this girl grows up so secure of herself and comfortable in her own skin and understanding that and I don't want to sound cliche, but the soul is more important than anything. You know what I mean? I just want her to be a good human being.
100%.
And I just think, what if I allow myself to drink the Kool-Aid and then this feel like I have to make all these changes while she's observing me. And
Right.
she sees the changes. I don't want her for 1 second to be like, you know what, my mom didn't think she was enough. So then she went cook when she started doing all these things. And now she doesn't look exactly like the woman that I remember as my mom 5 years ago. I
Beautiful
don't want that to
questions.
happen.
So you have echoed what many, 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 many women have said, which is, I don't want to send the wrong message to
I
my
can't.
daughter. So the answer to that is as follows. Transparency. You need to have an open dialogue with your daughter at the right times in the way that you feel most comfortable, sharing your thought processes, your concerns, the things you see. You know, I'm starting to notice this, and mom feels a lot of pressure. You can't tell her when she's 7, but when you're like 13, 14, you're going to start having this dialogue. Listen, you're amazing and you're beautiful and you are enough, but I am this person and I'm changing and I have these needs and this is what my work is and I'm doing it for myself and my career. You can have that dialogue, and then she'll then understand, because you aren't crazy. If you did it in a vacuum and you just all of a sudden came up with duck lips and she's like, Mom, what are you doing? Well, you know, I was at the spa and so forgive me, not you, and I don't have a daughter, and I haven't had procedures.
I just want to be responsible.
But I think I think my personal opinion is responsibility comes through discussion and dialogue.
Yeah.
And that there's a time and a place for different things for different people, and that I think that concern.
Like, I wonder how a lot of these girls that are like influencers, you know, that have millions and millions.
They screw up they destroy these young girls' lives.
That's no, and they're
100%.
moms as well, and they don't look like the same. Like, I wonder what is the conversation they're having with their kids.
They're not. And so as a response, and I said this, and we'll wrap with this, is that with all these burdens, you also have these responsibilities. And the first thing I said to you is, kudos for you. You came, you're reaping the benefits of your fame, and you're also falling on your sword and having a dialogue about a breast, which is relatively intimate. It's like, you don't need to tell anybody about your breast being flat or wise, or, but you're like, fuck it. This is part of who I am this is my job. And so these fake influencers and a lot of these so-called celebrities that are cowards hide behind that. And what they do is they send these messages to these people who may not have the ability to make that distinction. So it's all about the dialogue.
Yeah.
It's about the dialogue, which is, hey, I'm someone you follow. I'm someone you aspire to. Number 1, I have insecurities. Number 2, I changed myself. Here is why. And then you de-escalate it and people can clarify. But these filters and all these things, everyone's messed up. Everyone's brain is mush. All these young people are.
Crazy.
And all you have a responsibility to is your daughter and your fan base, and you've done a great job.
Thank you.
All right, so I know everybody's going to want to hear more of this, so we'll maybe have to invite you over again and put on this whole show again.
Thank you for the show.
Yes. But we had such a great time, and I love spending time with you. You're just such a pleasure to be around, and I'm happy for you that the surgery worked out well, and just thank you for being on our show. So, guys, that's going to wrap up another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. You know what I always end with. 2 things. 1, if you like our show, share it with people that you think might benefit from it. You just never know who's going to do what, and next thing you know, they're going to look like Madonna, and you're going to wish they had sent you that you had sent them the show. The second is, write something nice. Everybody writes nasty things about each other nowadays, Twitter, TikTok. If you love the show, you find it interesting, go write something nice. The people who put the show together love to read it, and we will be grateful. That's it. That's another wrap. That's another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. Until next week, I'm your host, Dr. Roddy Raban.
Bye.
Bye-bye.